Hey there, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something super useful that you actually see all the time in the real world. In math, we call it inequalities. Now, I know that might sound like a big, fancy word, but I promise the idea is really, really simple. Let's get started. So we all know the good old equals sign, right? It's pretty straightforward. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Simple. But life isn't always so exact. What happens when things aren't exactly equal? What if you need to say something is more than something else, or maybe less than? How in the world do you write that using math? Well, let's find out. Let's think about a real-world example. Imagine you've got a small drone, and there's a rule that says the drone has to weigh 2 kilograms or less. Now think about that for a second. Does that mean it has to weigh exactly 2 kilograms? Nope. It could be 2 kilograms on the dot, or it could be 1.5 kilograms, or even just 1 kilogram. Any weight that's 2 or less is totally fine. So we're not talking about just one number here. We're talking about a whole range of possible numbers. So how do we write a rule like that using math? Well, we've got a special tool for that, and it's called an inequality. Just look at the definition here. An inequality is simply a math sentence. It uses some special symbols to show that things aren't necessarily equal. It's really just a way to say more than or less than in the language of math. Okay, so what are these special symbols I'm talking about? The great news is there are only 4 main ones you need to know. That's it. It's kind of like learning 4 new words in a language. So let's meet them together one by one. All right, here's our first symbol. This one means greater than. And I've got a super easy way for you to remember this. Just imagine it's a hungry alligator's mouth. And that alligator always wants to eat the bigger number. So its mouth opens up toward the bigger number. So if you have a 5 and a 3, well, the alligator's mouth is going to open towards the 5. We read this out loud as 5 is greater than 3. See? Easy. Okay, on to the next one. As you can probably guess, this is the opposite. This symbol means less than. The alligator is still hungry for the bigger number, which is 5. But this time we're starting our sense from the smaller number. So we read this as 3 is less than 5. It's the exact same idea, just written from the other direction. Now look really closely at this next one. Do you see that little line underneath it? That line is like half of an equal sign, and that's your clue. This symbol means greater than or equal to. So it means the number can be bigger, or it could be the exact same. So if we write x is greater than or equal to 4, that x can be any number. It could be 5, it could be 10, it could be 200, but it could also be exactly 4. That little line makes a big difference. And here's our fourth and final symbol. It's also got that little line at the bottom. So, can you guess what it means? You got it. It means less than or equal to. And hey, this is the perfect symbol for our drone example from before. Remember the rule, the drone's weight had to be 2 kilograms or less. So we can just write W is less than or equal to 2. We use W to stand for weight. Look at that. That one little math sentence explains the entire rule. Pretty cool, right? Awesome job. You now know all 4 symbols. So the next step is to actually start using them. This is the fun part, I promise. We're going to take a regular English sentence and translate it into a math sentence. We'll do it together. I'll show you one, you can pause and think about it, and then we'll check the answer. Ready? Let's do this. Okay, here's our first practice sentence. X is less than 5. Just take a second and think. Which symbol means less than? Does it need that little line underneath? And remember the alligator. Which number is it going to want to eat? So did you get it? The answer is x is less than 5. We used the less than symbol. Now this is super important. This means x can be any number that's smaller than 5. It could be 4, it could be 3, 0, even negative numbers. But it cannot be exactly 5. If we wanted to include 5, we would need that little line underneath. All right, let's try a slightly trickier one. This sentence has 2 parts to it. Ready? The sentence is, y is greater than negative 2, and y is less than or equal to 4. So y is stuck between 2 numbers. How could we write both of those ideas in just one math sentence? Let's have a look. We can actually write it just like this. Look at how clean that is. Let's read it together from the middle. We have y in the center. If we look to the left, it says negative 2 is less than y, which is the same as saying y is greater than negative 2. And if we look to the right, it says y is less than or equal to 4. This is a really efficient way to show that our number y is somewhere between -2 and 4. Okay, so we've gotten really good at writing inequalities, but what does it mean to find a solution? If a teacher asks you to solve the inequality, what are they actually asking you to do? Let's talk about what a solution really is. It's actually really simple. A solution is just any number that makes the math sentence true. That's it. That's the whole idea. You plug in a number, and if it makes the statement true, then congratulations, it's a solution. If it makes it false, it's not a solution. The most important word to remember here is true. Okay, let's practice finding some solutions. Here's our inequality, x plus 3 less than 6. Remember that letter x can be any number. Our job is to figure out which numbers for x will make this sentence true. Let's use this table to test some numbers. Let's go through it together, row by row. First, let's try the number 1. If we put 1 in for x, we get 1 plus 3 less than 6. Well, what's 1 plus 3? It's 4. So is 4 less than 6? Yep, it sure is. So that's true, which means 1 is a solution. Okay, let's try 2. If x is 2, we have 2 plus 3 less than 6. And 2 plus 3 is 5. Is 5 less than 6? Yes, it is. So that's also true. 2 is another solution. All right, how about 3? If x is 3, we get 3 plus 3 less than 6. Well, 3 plus 3 is 6, so is 6 less than 6? No, that's not true. 6 is equal to 6, not less than it. So that statement is false, and that means 3 is not a solution. See how it works? The solutions are just all the numbers that make the sentence true. And that's it. You have totally learned the basics of inequalities. This is a huge step in math, so you should be really proud. Let's just quickly recap what we did today. We learned what an inequality is, we met the 4 special symbols, we learned how to turn words into math, and we even figured out how to find solutions. You did a fantastic job today. But the coolest thing to remember is that you see this math everywhere, not just in a textbook. Think about a speed limit sign. It really means your speed must be less than or equal to that number. Or what about a roller coaster? You have to be greater than or equal to a certain height to get on. So now I have a question for you. Where else do you see inequalities in your daily life? Keep an eye out this week. I bet you'll start finding them everywhere. Thanks for learning with me today.